Dinar Shift, the moment you've been anticipating has arrived, where we analyze the unfolding narrative surrounding the Iraqi dinar, a currency whose movement is capturing the attention of the global financial community. The long-standing speculation about a major currency shift is now framed by a compelling confluence of official preparations, subtle financial signals, and high-level diplomatic discussions, suggesting that a significant transformation in Iraq's economic standing may be closer than ever before. This perceived proximity to a revaluation is fueling worldwide curiosity, as investors and citizens alike contemplate the potential ripple effects that such a change could have, not just on the national economy, but on individual financial futures. We are witnessing a delicate balance of growing public expectation and a meticulously managed process by the key financial authorities, setting the stage for what could be a defining chapter in Iraq's modern economic history. The focus of this intense scrutiny centers heavily on the lower denomination banknotes, which are universally understood to be a necessary prerequisite for a strong and stable national currency. Whispers and unconfirmed reports have been widely circulating for weeks, suggesting that smaller bills are being printed or distributed within Iraq's borders. These accounts, however, are met with firm statements from individuals deeply connected to the central banking operations, who emphatically maintain that no new or smaller category banknotes have been officially released into public circulation. This critical distinction between rumor and reality is essential for all observers to understand as the process moves forward. Despite the high level of public anticipation, the insider's position remains resolute. The Central Bank of Iraq, CBI, is exercising extreme caution and maintaining a tight grip on its strategy. The new currency designs, specifically those for the 10 and 50 dinar notes, have not been unveiled, shown to, or distributed among the public. This deliberate silence from the top financial institution is often interpreted not as a lack of progress, but as a calculated and strategic pause that is characteristic of a major, imminent financial overhaul. The intent behind this quiet phase appears to be the careful orchestration of every detail to ensure maximum control and impact upon release. This period of quiet preparation is seen as the crucial precursor to what some internal sources are calling the activation phase. Behind the closed doors of Iraqi financial institutions, officials and representatives of the banking network are reportedly engaged in final intensive preparations. Trusted contacts within this system indicate that specific designated personnel are positioned and awaiting a final directive, a green light, to commence the full rollout. The prevailing sentiment is that this measured delay is not born out of indecision, but from a commitment to achieving impeccable timing and technical readiness before any public introduction. The financial leadership of Iraq is evidently determined to ensure that every technical and educational component is flawlessly executed before the new notes are placed into the hands of citizens. This methodical approach suggests that once the final authorization is granted, the next substantial financial shift could unfold rapidly and decisively. The preparation includes educating the public on how to handle, exchange, and value the new currency, a vital step to prevent confusion and maintain public confidence. The pivotal question now hinges on who holds the power to issue that final authorization and what specific, yet-to-be-met criteria they are currently waiting to be fulfilled. A key recent development that has amplified global interest involves official statements and television broadcasts within Iraq, which have openly discussed the government's pursuit of coordinated action with major international powers. These sought-after discussions specifically name the United States Treasury, Britain, and France as key partners in relation to potential currency value adjustments. This bold public acknowledgement of a need for international coordination signifies the gravity of Iraq's monetary strategy, indicating an intent to align its financial framework with broader global standards and expectations. The nature of this coordination is highly significant, as reports suggest Iraq is seeking permission to move toward a 1-to-1 rate with the US dollar. This is not a request that is made lightly, and serves as a powerful indicator of the monumental shift being contemplated. A 1-to-1 parity would represent a complete overhaul from Iraq's current and long-standing exchange rate situation, immediately elevating the dinar's status on the world stage. If successfully negotiated and implemented, this would propel the Iraqi economy into an entirely new era of financial confidence and international credibility. Financial analysts have unanimously described the pursuit of dollar parity as a monumental development, underscoring the profound implications of such an exchange rate target. The simple economic logic is that for a country to aim for parity with the world's primary reserve currency, it must be signaling a belief in its own deep-seated internal financial strength and stability. For Iraq, achieving this benchmark would not only be symbolic, but would also necessitate the practical introduction of those long-anticipated lower denomination notes to facilitate balanced and practical daily transactions for its population. Should a one-to-one exchange rate be successfully achieved, the next natural and widely anticipated economic step would be to permit the currency to float freely in the market. This process would allow the dinar's value to be determined by genuine market forces, allowing supply and demand to find the currency's true organic valuation. There is widespread speculation among financial circles that this natural float could potentially drive the dinar's real value even higher, conceivably reaching levels that are reminiscent of Iraq's historical exchange rates, with some scenarios projecting a potential rise to levels above $3 to 1 dinar. The introduction and deployment of the lower denomination notes are closely linked to the exchange rate adjustment itself, serving as a powerful and visible indicator of change. These smaller notes are considered an economic necessity that would be entirely illogical and impractical under the current exchange environment. Their introduction is purposeful and designed to support a significantly stronger currency, one where citizens can efficiently use bills for everyday purchases and transactions. Observers are therefore watching the rollout of these notes as the likely first visible confirmation that the long-discussed revaluation has moved from deliberation to decisive action. Recent reports tracking Iraq's exchange market have begun to show small, steady improvements, adding to the narrative of an imminent shift. Notably, the US dollar's value has demonstrated a slight but consistent decline within Iraq's domestic market, which is interpreted as a clear, albeit modest, sign that the dinar is gradually gaining strength. While these movements are small and easily overlooked, every significant economic transformation is often preceded by such measured incremental shifts. This slow and controlled appreciation is largely viewed as a healthy signal of cautious and effective management by the central bank. A gradual appreciation approach is often favored by central banks because a rapid, sudden spike in value could trigger market panic, lead to economic distortions, or provoke an uncontrolled inflationary spiral. Conversely, a slow and deliberate climb is far more conducive to building sustained public and international confidence in the currency's stability. Many market observers believe that this cautious, step-by-step strategy is exactly what Iraq needs to stabilize its internal economy and ensure its resilience before any major, large-scale public announcement regarding the currency's value is made. The economic narrative is being strongly influenced by parallel political developments, particularly the public emphasis on a new strategic relationship between Iraq and Western nations. This diplomatic focus centers on concepts of sovereignty and long-term prosperity, signaling a unified vision for Iraq's future. Key diplomatic statements have consistently reinforced the idea that Iraq's financial independence and national security are high-priority objectives for all parties involved. This diplomatic backing is crucial because the true value of a currency is deeply intertwined with trust and international confidence. When powerful nations publicly display their confidence in Iraq's governmental and monetary policies, it has a significant impact on international investors, who closely monitor such geopolitical signals. This growing emphasized support suggests that Iraq's future economic direction may be decisively turning away from past dependency and accelerating toward a state of genuine self-reliance. For a nation with such a turbulent history, this commitment to internal and external financial stability provides a crucial underpinning for any eventual currency adjustment. Insiders, who are privy to the operational plans, indicate that Iraq's currency rollout strategy will be intentionally slow and deliberate, emphasizing public education over speed. The process is not merely about exchanging old notes for new ones. It's about meticulously ensuring that the entire citizenry fully understands how to use the new currency, trust its value, and navigate the transition. An immediate, abrupt rollout is considered a high-risk scenario that could potentially cause widespread public confusion, uncertainty, or even fear, undermining the entire effort. The current plan is understood to involve a carefully managed phased transition, where the smaller denominated notes will gradually begin to appear in commercial circulation, while the older, high-denomination notes slowly recede from use. The primary goal of this measured transition is to safeguard the public from financial mistakes and to provide the domestic markets with ample time to adjust to the new economic reality. This measured approach also serves as a crucial mechanism to prevent economic shocks, drawing lessons from other nations that have attempted to restructure their currency systems too quickly. Many seasoned analysts hold the strong opinion that the long-awaited currency rate change will be triggered almost immediately after the country finalizes key economic agreements, specifically those related to the national oil revenues. Once Iraq's internal budget laws and the complex oil-sharing contracts are fully implemented and functional, the final, solid foundation required for a realistic and sustainable exchange rate shift will be securely in place. The complete implementation of these foundational elements is being widely described as the final domino in the sequence of preparations. As this final domino is anticipated to fall, the exchange rate is expected to be adjusted to align realistically with Iraq's updated and newly ratified budget, reflecting its new revenue expectations and fiscal framework. The global community is now intensely watching the events of the coming days and weeks, believing that this phase of finalizing internal financial legislation could determine the speed and certainty with which the revaluation finally becomes an undeniable reality, marking the culmination of years of speculative anticipation. However, amidst the widespread optimism, a sense of caution persists, as not all economic experts are convinced that the timing is perfectly ripe. A notable concern among some economists revolves around the vast amount of Iraqi dinar held outside the country's borders. Reports indicate that trillions of dinars are held offshore by various institutions, international investors, and even foreign citizens. This presents a considerable challenge because a premature revaluation could risk flooding the local market with sudden, massive returns, potentially destabilizing the fragile domestic economy. The central bank appears to be acutely aware of this offshore dinar risk and may strategically prefer a gradual approach to appreciation, raising the currency's value in a series of controlled stages rather than an immediate, sudden leap. Financial researchers generally concur that a slow and controlled appreciation is Iraq's most probable strategy, as it grants the government necessary control over inflation and simultaneously protects domestic consumers from abrupt price shocks. This transparency in fiscal strategy also serves to reassure international partners of Iraq's commitment to financial responsibility. While a phased, gradual process may inherently take more time to reach full potential, the long-term benefit is the building of stronger, enduring confidence among global investors. When a currency appreciates too rapidly, it can lead to an overheating of the economy, fostering speculative bubbles rather than real sustainable growth. Iraq's leadership appears intent on ensuring that any economic expansion is real and grounded, prioritizing the longevity of their recovery over a quick, temporary spike in value. A growing cohort of digital researchers and analysts are adding a layer of skepticism by monitoring Iraq's official communications with scrutiny. Their examination of the central bank's public information and official website has revealed no explicit confirmation of new, lower denomination bills, nor any visual proof of their existence. Furthermore, official press releases have been devoid of any mention of new note designs or any practical instructions to citizens regarding currency exchanges. This lack of official public evidence supports the view that while internal preparations may be extensive, the public rollout has not commenced, and the revaluation remains a future, rather than an immediate event. Intriguingly, some financial observers have proposed that the revaluation's timing might be deliberately aligned with broader regional or global economic milestones. These could include the finalization of new international banking reforms, major global oil pricing agreements, or upcoming election cycles that could heavily influence Iraq's internal stability and economic direction. The International Monetary Fund, IMF, and other international organizations have consistently framed Iraq's pursuit of a stronger currency as a long-term project, not an immediate political decision, suggesting that patience will be a key virtue for all observers. The necessary groundwork for change is clearly being laid, but the true moment of transformation is expected to occur only when every single technical, legislative, and diplomatic piece is fully and successfully in place, regardless of online rumors. Within this complex and evolving financial landscape, one constant remains undeniable. Iraq's economy is in the midst of a forceful push toward modernization. The acceleration of digital banking systems, the deepening of foreign partnerships, and the commencement of critical infrastructure projects all contribute to the growing pressure and momentum toward an eventual and necessary revaluation. A sovereign nation can only effectively hold down a suppressed currency for a limited time before its intrinsic, true value begins to forcefully surface. As the nation's productivity increases, trade flows strengthen, and foreign reserves continue to rise, the underlying strength of the currency must inevitably follow suit. Iraq's ongoing development trajectory powerfully suggests that its currency's value will eventually have to rise to reflect its improving economic fundamentals. However, as optimism builds, citizens and investors are receiving strong warnings to exercise extreme caution regarding the pervasive misinformation. A torrent of unverified claims continues to circulate online, featuring fabricated stories of secret exchanges, insider leaks, or purported early access to new banknotes. Authorities are repeatedly reminding the public to rely solely on official updates issued directly by the central bank. The danger of fraudulent schemes and false promises is real, and as public excitement reaches a fever pitch, it is paramount to distinguish concrete fact from speculative fiction. The legitimate revaluation, when it finally arrives, will be announced openly and publicly through official, verifiable channels, not through anonymous online chatter. Another critical consideration being brought forth by financial experts is the topic of taxation and legal accountability. Following a significant currency revaluation event, when the value of a currency is dramatically adjusted, the resulting transactions and financial changes will naturally trigger various tax obligations. Governments possess the mechanisms to track large-scale transactions, and experts caution that attempting to ignore or circumvent these regulations could lead to severe legal consequences. The clear message for all potential participants is to seek proper financial and legal guidance well in advance. Protecting assets in this environment means remaining fully informed and legally compliant with all existing and new regulations. This perspective strongly underscores the idea that if and when the revaluation occurs, preparation and adherence to law will be just as crucial as the act of participation itself, preventing significant future liabilities. Taking a broader view, Iraq's challenging financial journey powerfully reflects the ongoing struggle of a nation committed to rebuilding itself after decades of profound instability and conflict. The determined movement toward a modern, respected, and intrinsically valuable currency is not just a purely economic exercise. It is profoundly symbolic. It represents the country's calculated and deliberate return to full sovereignty, international trust, and global relevance, marking a new phase of national self-determination. A successful and well-managed revaluation would transmit a powerful, unmistakable message to the world that Iraq's economy is fully open for business and prepared to compete on the international stage. It would also deliver a major and much-needed morale boost to its citizens, who have endured years of uncertainty and patiently awaited a meaningful economic improvement in their daily lives. The anticipation for this change is not just financial, it is a hope for national progress and stability. So, where does this leave the current analysis? The prevailing consensus among most analysts suggests that while the moment of revaluation may not be immediate, the comprehensive and complex process has undeniably been initiated. The visible signs, the slow and steady strengthening of the dinar, the high-level coordination with major international allies, and the cautious, deliberate rollout planning all point consistently toward one conclusion. Iraq is actively and strategically preparing for a much stronger financial position in the world. Whether the final transformation takes a matter of weeks or stretches over more months, the evidence suggests that the process of fundamental change is well underway. Every piece of information, from the diplomatic conversations to the internal banking preparations, indicates that patience and impeccable timing are the final, non-negotiable ingredients before this monumental financial reset is fully realized and officially implemented. The global financial community continues to watch with bated breath, realizing that this is not merely a currency adjustment, but a potential geopolitical shift. As we conclude this in-depth report, the single, most pressing question remains: could this truly be the final trigger that brings years of waiting to an end? Every signal emanating from the Iraqi government, the central bank, and its collaborating financial institutions suggests that the foundational groundwork, the legislative, technical, and diplomatic architecture is complete. The current phase is now purely a matter of execution, precise coordination, and the ultimate necessary confidence to pull the trigger on a change that will redefine Iraq's place in the modern economy. The world is watching closely. Investors are positioned, and Iraq stands at the precipice of what could ultimately become one of the most historically significant currency moments in recent memory.